Hey everybody, welcome to the T and Z Show, episode
3.
It's our third one, man. We can barely even count. But we made it to episode 3. Congratulations, man.
Proud of you.
Let's go high five again. We're getting good at the high five thing. Hey, right out of the gate, we gotta talk about something.
Okay.
So we're always drinking a beverage while we're filming, right? And today we have the sparkling ice caffeine. I'm sure our audience has had these. They're pretty popular, or at least the sparkling ices. You actually got me on these a couple years back.
Yes.
And I'm like, I doubted you, and as usual, we argued. That's why now we argue on a podcast. And then,
But
you introduced me to something that changed my view on it. What was it?
the one that tasted like Mountain Dew.
Yes. And the color of the can was
Green.
Green. So if any of you is familiar out there, right now we're talking to sparkling ice. We want answers, okay? Because the green can has now changed. Now what does it taste like?
It used to be, it was called Triple Citrus.
Okay.
And that tasted like Diet Mountain Dew.
Triple citrus
And
Diet
now,
Mountain Dew.
now the green can is now Triple Citrus, and it basically tastes like Sprite.
So it's the same name.
No, it was Triple Citrus, and now it's Citrus Twist.
Okay, Citrus Twist is the new one, which tastes like Sprite, which is okay, but it's not.
It's not what that was.
It's not what that was. That one tasted just like a Mountain Dew, and it was delicious. And all of a sudden, it disappeared. We Googled it. I tried to Amazon.
Troy went on their website.
And what's wrong with that, man?
He went on a. No one goes to like Coca-Cola's website. Hey, can I order Coke from you? Like,
Well, hey, I went to Sparkling Ice. I went to your website. So if you're wondering who visited your website, for the only person over the last year, that would be me. Okay, I think it's on the can, isn't it?
and listen,
Well, it's a part of Talking Rain,
these things are awesome.
and they're cheap. Oh, there's even a hashtag,
Yeah.
dude. Sparkling Ice Life. Well, guess what, Sparkling Ice Life? You jacked up our life.
You were here, and then now you're disappearing from stores everywhere, and the flavor we liked.
Yes.
Also, my wife says because they have sucralose, we shouldn't drink these because they're bad. And now Sparkling Ice, if
Hey.
more than 10 people ever watch us, you won't sponsor us. We like your drink.
But
I don't
bring
care
back
about.
the Mountain Dew flavor.
Listen, I don't care what my wife says. I like sucralose.
Did you hear that? He does not care what his wife says. I'm just going to edit that part out to just you saying that. Speaking of wives, we're not going to cover this today, but because it wasn't in our notes that we go over so much. Wives and their concerns for our health. That has to be talked about, man. Because it sounds like Shani's a little bit like Courtney. Like if I drink something, she's like, why are you drinking that? You're going to die.
So we had a moment where our pastor's wife had a 24-pack of Pepsi in her office.
Uh-huh.
And I stopped asking for pop at home, and I stopped bringing it. And I had my wife convinced that I wasn't drinking pop for a month,
Wow.
but I was having like 2 or 3 Pepsis a day.
Is this the confession right now?
She knows.
Oh, she does know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But
rude. You 2 or 3 a day?
every time I have more than one, like she saw me take a Coke with me to work, and the fact that I'm having this too.
Uh-huh.
Listen, I'm not ripping. She cares about my health, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So she's probably gonna keep me alive.
That's great. I just think you were drinking 2 or 3 a day.
Well, until the case was gone.
Attaboy. Did your pastor's wife know that you were drinking her pop?
She was okay with it because she didn't want to drink them.
Oh, got it. So you took care of that for her. You're a real team player, man. What a good guy.
I got people.
So that's why you didn't tell Shani. I was doing it to better my pastor's
That's
life.
just like on Sunday mornings. There's a lot of times donuts brought in for the worship team.
Yep.
And if they don't leave any, I don't want to leave the trash, so I come in on Tuesday, 2 days later.
Yeah.
And to do a favor,
For your custodian?
I eat the rest of the donuts.
Dude, there's nothing better than a 48-hour donut. That's disgusting.
they're like
It's disgusting. Okay, moving on. All right. So we talked about this last episode, but I coach baseball.
Yes, you do.
Yep, loving it right now. We're 2 weeks into the season, and I told you a couple weeks ago, I wanted a platform to fix baseball. Okay, I have the solution for it, right? Because you hate baseball. Is that
Here's
fair,
the deal.
fair to say?
I loved baseball as a kid, and then my parents were like, "Hey, you can't play after coach pitch was done."
Yeah.
They're like, "You can't play because you can't see the ball."
Uh-huh.
And then as a 5th grade, I understand it now.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm
But
laughing
in
with
5th
you.
grade, because my parents wouldn't let me play travel baseball, I ran away from home.
Oh, dang, man. We're getting deep.
I get it now.
You're a runaway.
Now it's funny, but at the time, I was like, "You're not letting me play baseball.
Yeah.
You're terrible."
Okay, so I'll call you obviously you're a big time sports fan, but you wouldn't consider yourself like a diehard baseball fan. But just as a fan from
why
afar.
I tell you that? I
Yeah.
don't like baseball mainly because
Yes.
I'm bitter.
That's what. Okay, you're bitter.
Yeah.
But now tell me from just as a generic fan of sports. Okay, you love all kinds of sports. Tell me what you think is baseball's like. I'm talking MLB, down to even like little kids playing. Right? What is wrong with baseball in your eyes?
It's too slow.
It's too slow. Like the pace of play, or what?
Yeah.
Got it.
But just the idea of someone's pitching, it takes all this time to do this, that. It's even at the younger kid games move faster, but even that just. So I used to say it was, in my mind, it used to be like MLB, but honestly, as I get older, the game of baseball itself
Got it.
is too slow for me.
No, that's fair. That's why I do like the new rules. If you follow it a little bit, they have a pitch count or the
Like
pitch
basically
clock.
a shot clock.
Yeah, pitch clock. They have an in between. They have an innings intermissions clock now.
Yeah.
It's 2 minutes and like 5 seconds. They have.
So what? The games are 3.5 hours instead of 5?
No, dude. They're under 3 every single time now. They're like 2. The pace of play's picked up. But okay, now I want to share with you my thoughts. I've shared these thoughts with people before and they've laughed at me. But here's my big one, okay? I'm going to talk MLB and a little bit of little kid baseball too, because I'm passionate about that. Because obviously I want the game of baseball to continue to grow. Here's what I would say for MLB. If I was the MLB, now granted, let me just start off by saying this is never going to happen because it's all about the dollar, right? Sports is all about money. So none of these changes are ever going to happen because it would drastically change the amount of money that these owners are making and that the MLB is making, and that's the whole purpose of it, right? It's a business.
Yeah.
I would change the innings from 9 to 7 and only do 7-inning games because, and I talk about this all the time, you never play a 9-inning game when you grow up. The majority of your life, the majority of people
Because
that play,
varsity ball is 7, right?
yeah, you don't play 9 innings until you get to college. And not even that many people play college baseball, right? So if you look at the average
Or
Joe.
watch college baseball.
Or watch college baseball. Exactly. That's a whole other, that's a part of this conversation. As a whole, as a sports fan, the average person has never even played 9 innings before. Where in basketball and football, like those games are very similar to what you would have played when you grew up playing it. So I would go to 7 innings, but here's another reason why I go to 7 innings, because this kind of like it keeps building off of each other. One of the things that baseball is missing is I hate the bullpen in baseball. There are 30 people in the bullpen. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but now it's all about analytics and matchups, and the starting pitcher has become irrelevant. Growing up, starting pitchers were everything when I was a kid, and then obviously growing up before me for generations, it was
analytics is. I feel like analytics is hitting baseball more than most other sports. I know analytics is using everything, but here's what I mean.
Too much though.
Is back in the day when we were kids, I'm a 90s kid, okay? You didn't have to watch baseball to know who Ken Griffey Jr. was.
Exactly, yeah.
You didn't have to watch baseball
Super Nintendo, baby.
to know who Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, the list goes on.
Yes.
But now, the way to win games with analytics is situational. Hey, if this is happening, we need this person. And because of that, it's taken away the household name.
Absolutely, and that's what I was getting
Baseball doesn't have superstars.
Yes, and I miss the days of your best pitcher versus this lineup. Let's see what they've got. And if you go to 7 innings, you're going to get that. You eliminate a lot of the bullpen, and now you have more stars, more name recognition. There's probably never going to be another pitcher in the history, in the rest of the way, that's ever going to hit 300 wins. That used to be like the milestone. Verlander, for as long as he's played, is like, I just heard it yesterday, he has like 49 more wins to go. There's nobody even near it after him. No one's going to touch, anyways. So I'll go to 7 innings. I don't want to speak too much about this, but I'll go to 7 inning games because it's going to drive home the starting pitcher versus those lineups. It's going to shorten the game. It's going to make it more fast play with keeping the current rules of the pitch clock and all those other things. And then here's the big one: you shorten the season. 162 games. There's no reason to play that many games. Back when they did that, when they first started it was because baseball was like the only sport. And that was the entertainment.
You were talking about the business side. Okay, what would be better? Because baseball.
Well, they're making bank with 80 home games, right? Even with a half full
Yes,
stadium.
but that's the thing. You watch a game on TV, unless it's the playoffs, you see so many seats.
Well,
right?
Attendance is still pretty dang high. It's crazy. It's crazy to look at the numbers.
It is because I get the shape of the stadium and everything. Like
they're putting.
But you see so many empty seats. But what would be better for business? Having twice as many games like they do now, and half the stadium full. Or wouldn't it be the same if you have half as many games and the stadiums are full every night because it's more of a treat?
Well, you know me, man. I suck at math. I'm not smart, right? I think we've established that with how I claim.
Well, neither am I, but the simple math is twice as many, half as many.
I would just say shorten the season. I don't have an exact number, but I would say, to me, it's more months, okay? I would start when they do start, which is perfect timing because there's nothing else going on. So basically the beginning of April, right? And then, here's the one I would do. I would stop right before football starts.
Yeah, so, having this World Series in October.
In late October.
The fact that no one's ever talked to the Major League Baseball like, hey, that's a bad idea.
Yes, why are you competing against college football, which is the number 2 sport in the country, and the NFL, which is by starters?
As a soccer fan, my Major League Soccer, instead of doing what the rest of the world does and going September to May, they go like February to, or end of February, early March to basically early November.
Yeah.
And it's like, so Major League Soccer is the same problem. So you're
overshadowed, man.
In the summer and stuff, you're fine, which summer would be. But the reality is, your most important part of the year is shadowed by college football and NFL. But also for the soccer world, November, December is when the people have international breaks. So you're in the playoffs, and your good players are leaving
during that time
to go play with their countries.
Yep.
So that's a whole nother thing.
For sure.
Not to steal baseball stuff.
No, I love how you snuck in some soccer talk right there.
Always.
But the big rule is I would go 7 innings and I would shorten the season so you're not playing into October. You're done in September, which I get. October baseball, you're taking out now you're going to mess with numbers. I hate how baseball is all about the history. Like, get over it.
So
like, we can still honor the history.
Yeah.
And start a new wave of new history with a new set of games.
But what we're saying and what Troy's saying with the analytics and numbers is, hear me out, teachers, math has ruined baseball.
Absolutely. All right, Mark, enough baseball talk. I just had to get that off. I wanted to get that out there. 7-inning games, I think, would be awesome for baseball. Shorter season would be awesome for baseball.
Yeah.
Let's talk basketball, okay?
Okay, I don't know if you put this in the rundown or not, but we won't be filming next Friday regardless. Here's why. Because next Thursday and Friday, or Friday and Saturday, is like my holiday.
What is it?
The first 2 days of the NCAA tournament.
Dude, we are like on the same... Something special just happened. Because literally in my notes, which she doesn't get to see, I had in here to talk about March Madness right after that. We're like we're on the same page,
in the church world, we call that a divine appointment.
Ooh, there you go. I was gonna say it's like LeBron and Wade here, but I get to be LeBron just because I love him more. But anyway, see how
Dwayne's retired.
You sneak in soccer, I sneak in LeBron. Okay, we have to every single episode. Okay, back to March Madness. Next Thursday, Friday. Since we weren't recording next week because we've been doing this every other week, which is a good flow.
Which, even though it was by accident,
it was divine. It was a divine appointment. Okay, so March Madness. I know that they haven't picked seedings and all that stuff. Let's talk a little bit about boys and girls, but let's start with the boys. What's your prediction for this? Not necessarily a winner, but like, what's your prediction March Madness? I know, because boys basketball is in a weird place right now, man.
It's
like a lot of parity.
Remember what we talked about? I said Major League Baseball doesn't have the superstar.
Yeah.
Because people go to the college for 1 year and leave if they're good enough. And then they leave, are a mid-round draft pick, and maybe are a role player for 4 or 5 years, and their careers are done.
Well, and there isn't even really a name.
So because of that, because of that, you don't have the household names. You don't have, like, you got your Kentuckys, your North Carolinas, your Dukes. Yes, they're towards the top of the standings, but there is not one team to beat.
Yeah.
There isn't.
Did you see that Gonzaga lost to St. Mary's in the WCC title?
Gonzaga's going to be like an 8 seed. Man.
I know, but hey, sometimes that's when they're at their best. And I don't even like Gonzaga.
Here's what I'd say, though. That's one of those things that your reputation and name matters, because if any other team in the West Coast Conference got second in the regular season,
they're not getting in.
Second in the tournament,
they're not getting in.
In the West Coast Conference, that's Gonzaga. Their history earned them in.
Yeah,
because there's a team named.
But they also played a lot of good teams this year.
There's a team in a conference.
They had a lot. I mean, I can't speak to it. They had a lot of good wins. They had some tough losses, but they had a lot of good wins. So they were going to get in no matter what.
But it's their name.
Yes.
Because any other team
the schedule. They play one of the toughest
if another
schedules.
Team in that conference.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Had the same exact resume.
Well,
they're not making it.
I got to push back on that a little bit because
you're right. They play better teams in the beginning.
They play incredible non-conference schedules.
Yeah, I get it.
If a team does have that resume and does get second, but if a team in the WCCC in general, a normal I get what you're saying.
But there's a team that I hate to say this.
So your boys' prediction, what do you got?
There's a team called Indiana State that shouldn't get left out.
Indiana State. Here's his Midwest ties.
They have a stud. They have. I hope not, but they probably will. They've only lost 6 games all year, but they lost in the conference final, the conference tournament final.
Okay.
And the last few years and years ago, Missouri Valley always pumped out like 3 teams because it'd be like Wichita State.
Yeah.
But with the conference realignment, it's changed.
They had some runs.
Now there's only one. They've been the last couple of years a 1-bid league, but the team that beat them. Both have really good records. They both deserve to be in there.
Don't they have a guy that people love?
Indiana State, yes, because he doesn't look like a ball player.
No, I've seen pictures of him. Yeah.
He looks.
What?
He looks like he'd work at Geek Squad, dude. But dude, this guy and he's not fast.
Okay.
But he can. Dude, you go. I can't even pronounce his name.
Yeah.
But just type in Indiana State.
I will.
You'll see it. He's awesome to watch. So. What could be the breakout star of the tournament, and this is what all the media outlets are talking about.
Yeah.
We may not get to see this guy.
Okay.
Because no one watches.
Well, maybe they sneak him in. You know how they have. They're smart, right? It's all about. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a TV show. So
no, they're going to take a Big Ten team that lost 14 games over that. Because.
Shout out to the Big Ten. All right, so do you have a prediction for the boys tournament? Like, do you have a favorite? I don't have one, to be honest. I can't speak to it. Plus, I think there's just so much parity this year.
I think Connecticut's going to repeat.
Oh, you do? Okay. I like me some UConn basketball, man. They keep it classy. So, all right.
I just and that's I've not watched many games, but they're towards the top. They've been there. A lot of the other teams that are towards the top, guys haven't been in those situations.
Are you going to fill out a bracket? Are you okay? Let's talk about brackets really fast.
I try to get my youth kids into the brackets. They don't care, but I make them do it. I promise them a gift card or something.
No, that's fair. Let's talk bracket life. Are you a 1 bracket rule guy? Are you that guy that fills out 8 different ones, 8 different ways?
I do, and I change them. And I try to do them so differently, but here's the thing.
Wow.
I try to do them differently, but at the end of the day, my gut's my gut.
Yeah.
And so they end up being way more similar than I'd like them to be. It's like, I can't in good conscience do this. But like, the people that follow college basketball always do terrible.
For sure.
It's people like my mom that picks like on color and name.
Yep, totally.
Mom, I love you, but so we're from Iowa.
Yeah.
She used to she'd always go for Gonzaga when they were still the underdog.
Yep, come on.
Because she's like, I like how it sounds, Gonzaga. and we're still trying to convince her that it's Gonzaga with an A.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
But she'd always win her office pool, and they would get so mad.
That's awesome. I'm a 1 bracket guy. I just believe if you can fill out 8 different brackets and 8 different pools, but I don't think you should have 8 different actual brackets. Like, they should all be the same.
Like I said, I try to do that, but then they end up all being like the big picture stuff. I can't. It's like it's unfair to do multiple brackets because the reality is, at that point, you're just throwing in guesses to get a right bracket.
That's true.
Where your first bracket is going to be what you actually think.
That's true. All right, let's transition to girls The girls. I'm actually more excited about the girls tournament this year than I am about the boys, because of all the storylines. I can already tell this guy's demeanor and where it's going based off of what happened last week with the fight with LSU and South Carolina, the controversy, those rivals. South Carolina is clearly number one. Didn't they go undefeated? Mm-hmm. Undefeated all the way. You got the Caitlin Clark story. Man, as good as she is, they play a lot of tight games.
Yes, but here's the thing.
They need her to go deep, man. They need her. That bracket
they've got other girls that can score and come up with big plays at the end.
They do, but they need to give. I heard someone say this on TV, and this might not be fair to Duke, but they said they need to give Iowa the Duke treatment by putting them in the easier bracket. You know how they have the 4 different divisions or 4 different regions. Mm-hmm. They need to give them the Duke treatment and put them in the easy region to get them into the Elite Eight.
But that's gonna go to South Carolina.
It will, because they're clearly number 1.
They're gonna play the lowest 16. But if I remember right, the girls' tournament is different. If you're a 1 seed, I think until a certain time in the tournament, you're playing at the higher seed. You're not at neutral courts.
Yeah.
So, and they're gonna be one of the 1 seeds. I think because it's South Carolina and I forget who else. I think Iowa's going to be actually one of the lower 1 seeds.
Yes, but they're going to get a 1.
They're going to get a 1, and so they should. And usually when you're the 1 seed, you get the region that is closer to home.
Yep.
Now, again, for the women's tournament, it doesn't matter as much because until a certain point, you're playing home games.
Yep. So
they're going to pack out Carver Hawkeye Arena.
Come on, baby. I'm pulling for. This is what I want to happen. I don't think it's going to, because of the way it's going to match up. At some point, I want to see South Carolina play LSU again because of that rivalry and what happened.
Well, LSU won't be a 1 seed, so LSU is going to have to probably play a 1 seed somewhere.
Yes. So depending on what side, I hope they're. And then
maybe they do give LSU a 1 seed.
I also want to see Caitlin Clark get super deep and play a LSU, play a South Carolina.
Well, keep in mind,
because of that rivalry
she played
dynamic
both
as well.
South Carolina.
Yeah.
She ended South Carolina's season in the Final Four last year.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. That's why I want to see them.
But then she lost. And listen, it's not her. Iowa has a bunch of seniors.
Yeah.
That everyone's saying it's just a Caitlin Clark show. She has awesome teammates that facilitate and do jobs and other roles.
Zach.
No.
It's the Caitlin Clark show.
You had a girl you have girls that can drop 30 to 40 points. No. Listen to me.
Name one of them. What's their name?
I forgot.
Exactly. It's the Caitlin Clark show. Anyways.
But Kate Martin. Kate Martin.
Well, guess what? He struck out one.
And there's a girl named Molly.
Molly?
Yeah.
Shout out to Molly. Maybe we'll tag her on here. All right,
she had a clutch block that won the Big Ten championship in overtime.
Molly, great job, but nobody cares.
Boom! It was sick, dude.
Good job. All right, let's transition to the next big news.
I was going to win. I don't care.
The news that happened in sports this last week was the NFL free agency, the trades. But there's only one that I want to talk about.
I don't even care.
There's only one that I want to talk about. It's Mr. Russell Wilson, everybody's favorite athlete. The NFL players love him, right? They respect him. They think he's a good guy. They have nothing negative to say about him. He's just a walking legend. Not really. But Russell Wilson to the Steelers. What are your thoughts on Russell's career and where it's gone and just where it's going?
Okay, I think when you get drafted, whether you're a high pick or a low pick, it is all about where you go and the fit and the coach and everything.
Yes.
And I think this isn't saying he's not a great player. He's not Russell Wilson if he gets drafted by the Browns.
Well, back then, no, absolutely not. No, he was on a loaded team.
It was all about the right fit, the right place, the right time.
That team was loaded.
The team behind him, yes. And so the Steelers, I mean, they've got good pieces. They could be a good team. But I still don't think he's a quarterback that carries you.
Is he going to be a Hall of Famer? Based off of his body of work up until this point and his story, because that matters. They factor that stuff in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look how long it took.
But his body of work, his numbers are solid, right?
Solid. But
Okay.
that's not solid. Doesn't mean Hall of Fame.
No, and that's the thing. The Super Bowl he won, defense did that. Legion of Boom did that.
Yeah, I mean,
And the other Super Bowl, not to be whatever,
oh man, don't get me
they
started.
put the ball in his hands. If you want to be a Hall of Famer, you got to, and this isn't just Russell Wilson. If you want to be a Hall of Famer, if the team decides, hey, it's your job to carry us, and that's what happens, that's not a Hall of Famer. That's a really good player.
Yeah. So my thoughts on Russell is his in Seattle. Man, he had some games. Obviously, we all watched it.
Mm-hmm.
The magic he had, the rollouts, the escapability, the athleticism, the deep ball throws that he had. He had a nice deep ball.
He's a competitor.
But I'll say this: where things went wrong for him was, and you have kids in sports, is when he began to look at himself in a way that he wasn't who he thought he was. And I compare it to this, right? So coaching high school athletes. A lot of times I hate to be that guy because I was nothing special. I just worked hard. I wasn't this incredible athlete, so I'm not here to try to say I have it all figured out or I know everything. But there are some kids when you watch play high school sports where you just know, like, dude, that kid's just not, he's just not that guy. And that's at the high school level. But then that kid, because he plays on this select team, and he's got a nice, he's got all these great photos from the photographer that takes pictures of him, and he goes to these clinics, like he thinks he's a dude, right? At some point, Russell forgot that, like you're saying, he was surrounded by a lot of greatness. He was still great himself.
Well, but in college, he tore it up at NC State, went under the radar.
Yes.
And then, because most people know him for his 1 year at Wisconsin.
Which, again, another great situation, right? He was in a run heavy first with a good line, good tight end. Anyways.
Well, NC State wasn't that, though.
But I'll say this.
When he was there.
You're right. Where Russell's gone wrong is when he got, and then so he obviously didn't end well in Seattle. And then all the stuff came out about his tension in the locker room. And then his time in Denver was a complete disaster, right? Like, just the things he was saying and doing, it was weird.
But is that simply just wrong place, wrong time?
No.
I will say this.
It wasn't wrong. He got paid.
I get it. I'll say this. I don't think he's going to change the Steelers' fortune.
No.
Is he going to bring a winning mentality? Is he going to bring work ethic? Yeah. But.
Totally.
But. What I don't think.
Is he bringing a winning mentality? He's not. Well, they already have a winning mentality. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They win 9 games with Pickett and Mason Rudolph. They know how to win. They don't need a winning mentality. They need a quarterback to quarterback.
That's my question: is how much of an upgrade is he really from those guys now?
Oh, I think he's an upgrade. Well, here's what all I want to say.
He's an upgrade, but is he that much of one?
Well, here's the last thing I'll say about it. This is a make, and this isn't anything new. Everyone's been saying this over the last couple of days. This is a make or break season for Russell Wilson's career. He could be out of the league a year from now because there's no way Russell Wilson could ever be a backup anywhere because he's too big of a name and he's got too big of an ego to be one. It's like Cam Newton, right? Cam Newton can't be a backup. That's why he's out of the league at 33 years old. And Russell Wilson, if he doesn't have a good year this year, Mike Tomlin ain't putting up with it. He's done. And I'll tell you this, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. But if he wants a shot at the Hall of Fame, this is his last chance. He's got to do something. But he's in the AFC, which is loaded. I think
out of all the options there were, I don't know that this was the right one for him.
I don't know either. I don't know if there was a right one at this point in his career. But what time will tell, right? Let's jump into a more serious topic that you briefly talked about last episode.
Hold on, before we go there.
Yeah.
We talked about the U.S. women's team last time.
Oh yeah,
they
must have heard us, man.
They won the championship.
Talking all that trash about them.
They won the championship.
They went on a winning streak.
So you acknowledge that.
Hey, you're welcome for inspiring.
But it wasn't the same old way that they played. They did it in a different way. It wasn't as entertaining to watch. It was more gritty.
Mm-hmm.
And So I don't know that it's a new era of U.S. women's soccer. They won the tournament. We'll really know this summer by the Olympics, which...
Oh, was it this summer?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just the Olympics. It's not the
But
World
in the
Cup.
women's world, in the women's soccer world, the Olympics matters.
Yes. I remember all the times growing up watching them.
Yeah. So
We'll have to
this
talk about
summer
that,
we'll
'cause
really
I'm curious
see.
about why.
And also
why.
the U.S. women's national team, their head coach wasn't there because she's finishing out her contract.
I was
going to
ask you about that.
So they did this with an interim coach too.
Yeah.
But why people are disappointed is there are some players that were brought back in. They thought, hey, we're going to play the kids. We're going to usher in the new era.
Yep.
But then you had like Alex Morgan, who she had a great tournament. She was a last minute call because someone else got hurt. So it's like we didn't see this blank slate of all these new people. We saw a lot of some girls get their first chances and experience, but we were hoping to see more new faces. So yeah, they won.
Yeah.
But it's not like what's weird is it didn't completely close the door on the last generation, the last era.
Got it.
So that's kind of the
So what you're saying is bring back Ted Lasso. Season 4.
do it.
All right. And one more shout out to Caffeine Ice or Sparkling Ice. Thank you for sponsoring this episode, and bring back Mountain Dew Sparkling Ice, please.
Triple citrus.
Triple citrus. That's say that fast 10 times. That's hard. All right. Let's jump into something more serious. Like I just said a minute ago, you touched on this briefly in the last episode. Wanted to talk about it today. It's obviously it can be hard to talk about, but confidence, right? Sometimes in life, our confidence is shaken, and depending on things that happen to us that we can control or we can't control. And I wanted both of us to share just a little bit about when has there been a season in your life that you've struggled or lost confidence, and then what changed or what tools or resources helped you find your confidence again and get back on track?
Okay, so for me, it's not like at this season of my life I was confident or not confident. The reality is when I'm confident in the wrong things, I lack confidence.
I gotcha.
Okay, so when I'm confident in the wrong things, I lack confidence, because if for me to gain confidence, I have to have success or be affirmed, which really, if that's what gives me the confidence, is I've had success in the past or I've been affirmed by somebody else. At that point, for me, this is just for me, it's not confidence, it's arrogance. It's quiet arrogance. So when I try to be confident in myself, there has to be factors like, okay, I have to do good at this to be confident in it. Well, so the first time you do it, you don't know, so I'm not going to be confident. If I have to have past success or affirmation, I'll never be confident trying new things. I'll never be confident. So confidence is something I've struggled with, and it's like, because I view it from the wrong lens. Like,
That's good, man.
And it's like, does who I am come from what others think of me? Does it come from what I think of me? Does it come from what I do? And if it comes from one of those three places, we're seeing ourselves, not the full picture.
That's so good.
Because if it's what we do, what happens when you're an athlete and your legs don't work anymore? If it's how other people, or if it's what I do, what happens when you don't have a good game? Or you don't do well at this? Then your value is diminished because you weren't good at what you do. When it's how others see you. When I was in middle school, people didn't like me. So if my value was based on how people saw me, well, people didn't see me in a good light, so I didn't see me in a good light. And then how I saw me, so like I saw the wrong picture the whole time. And it's hard for me to point specific eras, like middle school, obviously, but even like...
I don't think any middle schooler has confidence.
No. But, like, I think when my confidence is ultimately in God, like, God, you've called me to do this. I don't feel qualified. I don't feel ready. I'm nervous, but I know you've got this. That's when things go well. But when I rely on myself or try to, like, that's, because I could think of, starting at a new church in COVID. I didn't have confidence because that was a crazy time. Like, what's this going to look like? Or
how do you do it?
Getting married and becoming an instant dad.
Yeah.
Learning a lot of lessons of And I mean, my wife was my only girlfriend ever. And I didn't start dating her till I was 28. We got married when we were 29. And so it's like, how do I have confidence when I'm, you know, and not being an instant dad.
Yeah.
Like, so until about a year ago, my first couple years in this time, like, confidence and having confidence in God has been something that I believe is a huge part of my story.
Yeah.
But if I were to be really honest, the most I struggled with it was my first couple years in Washington, my first couple years. So probably till about a year ago.
Yeah.
And I still have my struggles, but really, like, and I struggle with confidence. My whole thing was, am I doing this for God? Or am I doing this for other people's approval? And a lot of times I get trapped in doing this for other people's approval. And so because part of my story is I didn't have a lot of friends in middle school, I got picked on, and for the longest time, I get as an athlete, a chip on the shoulder is healthy.
Yeah.
But in life,
yeah,
I walked around with a chip on my shoulder, and I want to do something big with my life to prove these things wrong. So these kids that didn't like me when I was 12 were really still unknowing to them, and them not doing anything wrong now. I was still letting them control my life in my 20s.
Yeah.
Because it was about proving them wrong.
Yeah.
And so when things didn't go well, I didn't have confidence. And I hope I'm actually making sense.
No, you are.
But the reality is, to the long-winded answer to get to that is, I'd say until a year ago, for 2 years, my first couple years of being in it, it's nothing that my kids did, nothing that my wife did,
no,
nothing that the city of Pasco or my church did.
Yeah.
But being in it, everything was new.
For sure.
And
that's a lot of change.
I was married and getting used to being dad for a year, then we came here. Like, everything was,
and
everything
COVID
I knew
alone was crazy.
Well, and how I lived my life had to change, and I didn't know how to do anything I was doing.
Yeah.
And so I really struggled. Like, I was constantly questioning, God, am I in the places I'm supposed to be? Am I doing this right?
Yeah.
And so even though confidence was a big part of my story, until about a year ago, as a husband, as a father, as a youth pastor, I was probably the most insecure person you could be. And so, and it changed when it is simply, God, this is where you have me, and I'm trusting you, not myself.
Yeah.
So for me, that's where confidence changed.
That's good.
It's not about, am I confident or not? To me, it's about, where's my confidence coming from?
That's really good.
And if it's anything earthly, for me, that's temporary and that's circumstantial. Where if it's in God, okay, this is hard. I don't think I'm good at this, but you've done crazier, bigger things in the people around me and in my life, and I know you can do it again. So God, I trust you, and I'm gonna let you use me. And that's where my confidence comes from now.
Yeah.
But when it's not from those places, I am the most insecure person that could ever exist.
Yep. And that's the beautiful thing about being in a relationship with Jesus, right? Is what he does for us internally, mentally, spiritually, physically, that changes our lives.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I too can look at different seasons of life and say to myself, oh yeah, I was missing confidence there, or I had too much confidence there. But I'll just speak to a recent season where my confidence was shook, and I think it was shook for a reason at the time I didn't quite understand, but now I do, that I've had a chance to reflect and think on. And you know this obviously. I left ministry back in September, and I began to pursue a career in law enforcement. And that was a big transition for me personally, and obviously for my family as well. And just for my mentality too, of what I've always wanted to do and dream about, to transitioning to a completely new field where I could still live out some of my giftings and dreams and ministry in a sense through law enforcement. And we said yes to it. And at that time I felt like this is what I'm supposed to do. And fast forward, being in I had to go to the academy, which is put on by the state, and there's a couple of them throughout the state of Washington before you can truly be a quote unquote police officer for your local agency. And I remember being in the academy, and obviously I'm confident, and I do believe my confidence comes from God, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
And I believe that my identity, who I am, is not just what I do, but it's who made me. It's in God and the promises that He's given us, right?
Yeah.
But I remember stepping foot into that academy, and pretty quickly, I had these moments of just complete loss of confidence in myself and in my abilities for two reasons. One, being in a brand new world of the unknown, right? I'm having to now sharpen my axe on skills that I've never really had to think about or had done before. And so I was like, oh shoot, maybe I should have focused on sharpening my axe a little bit more before I even stepped foot in here. And then the second part that I just lost confidence in was, I'm not trying to sound super like holy as I'm wearing a holistic Hooper shirt, but I'm always like talking to God, like just in my head, right? And I remember just always praying throughout the day and trying to talk to God, and because I was like hurting. It was almost like an internal pain of like, where is my confidence? And I began to feel like almost like I in that moment, like I didn't belong. And so I was just battling that the whole time I'm in it, right? While trying to learn all these new skills, retain new information, come home to my family at night, maintain friendships. And I was super thankful while I was in it. It's an incredible career. I have nothing but respect for police officers in general. I have friends who are police officers. I have nothing but respect for the local agencies that are made up here in the Tri-Cities.
Absolutely.
But I remember just having conversations with some of the sergeants inside the academy throughout the process, and some of the red flags that they were seeing maybe in me, and they'd bring them up, and even when I was battling internally, to the point of come January, we just knew it wasn't the right fit, which led to me not being at the academy anymore. It just wasn't the right fit. And leaving there, I knew it was, in my heart of hearts, it was a very humbling moment, right? To not feel like you were good enough, or that you were cut out for it, or that you failed in a sense. And I remember my confidence beginning to think about, man, having to remind myself, my identity is not in like the outcome. My identity is just in the process of like who I am, whom I'm becoming every single day, right? And I remember my confidence being shaken, because now I'm gonna have all these conversations with people of, hey, how's the academy going? Or hey, what happened? And I remember just being like, oh, I just want to go hide in my garage and not talk to anybody. But obviously you can't do that. And I think for me too, personally, I think we live in a world where our highs are really high as a culture, and then our lows are really low. Where it's easy for me to be this optimistic, hey, let's step into growth when things are good, right? But what about when you just get punched in the face and things aren't well, right? Or uncontrollable things happen to us, right? And I remember thinking to myself, I can't allow my confidence to be shaped by my circumstances or by outcomes. It's almost like in sports, right? If I defined all of my athletic ability and all of my success off of wins and losses, well, that's ludicrous, right? Because you're going to lose. That doesn't mean you lost because you're bad. Sometimes you just lose because you lose. There are times you have bad days, bad games, all that. But anyways, so for me, I just remember stepping out of the academy and stepping back into the world of local ministry and just trying to get my feet back underneath me and telling myself I have to be consistent with who I've been, because if not, I believe I'm doing a disservice to who Jesus is. I always say we can't get caught up in like our sins and stuff like that, because now we're belittling the cross, the power of the cross, right?
Dude, that's good.
And it's the same with this. When my confidence was shaken, I can't all of a sudden change who I am. I'm not saying fake it till you make it. I'm not trying to sound new age like, or don't be vulnerable. Like, I had real raw emotions of disappointment, of regret, of shame, of embarrassment. Like, I still battle those things when I'm driving down the road and I see a cop car, or there are certain people maybe don't know that I'm not even in the academy, or not a police officer, and I've had a lot of transitions over the last few years of my life that have also added a layer of insecurities that I could talk about in a later episodes as well. So for me, at the end of the day, I think it's important that for somebody who's always proclaiming Jesus, especially on social media, which I do a lot of, I can't not live it out when it's my time to live it out, right? And that's the confidence piece of.
So, but I guess let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How do you live it out?
No,
in that season.
How? Yeah. The how.
And I guess if people had the answer to that, because it's easy for you and I to sit here and say my confidence comes from God.
Yes, I would say.
But
this,
in that
man.
season, what restored confidence?
Yeah.
What reminded, or did God remind you in certain ways, gently or loudly? Like what changed or clicked?
Yeah, I think it. For one, it's an everyday decision, right? I don't think there's ever a moment when it clicks and it stays on. I think I always have to humbly come before God and remind myself that it's not about me, right?
Okay, we are going to continue this conversation next week. We hope this helps you. We love you guys.
We're losing battery life.
Losing battery.